Hey everyone, good to be back with you. Haven't done a video in about a week and a half because I've had bronchitis, but I'm getting over that, feeling pretty good. So I wanted to do a little video today regarding PizzaGate. So I've been sitting back, I haven't done a video on this yet, I've just been sitting back watching it for the past month and a half or so and watching where it's all going. And basically what we're talking about here is a pedophile ring which seems to involve some of those in high places, the ruling elites. This should not be a secret to anybody. Anyone who's studied American history, world history, you can go all the way back to ancient Rome and governments in every century where you see that the ruling elites seem to have this fascination with pedophilia. So this doesn't surprise me at all. We actually had an investigation back in the 80s, I believe it was, where some Republican types were involved in some sort of pedophilia ring. But you'll never see any of the ruling elites ever held accountable or found guilty of any of these crimes. You might see some very low-level people, charges brought on them, but you'll never take down the ruling elite in the inner circle for these types of crimes. And the reason is very simple, because if the investigation, if there is an investigation, ever gets anywhere near these people, any information that might incriminate them will be silenced, will not be heard or seen, because it becomes a threat to national security. When you hear that, and we heard that at the time of JFK and also 9/11, you'll hear these threats of, well, we can't go into certain things because of national security. What they're really talking about is that they can't reveal the truth about the involvement of some very high-placed, powerful people, the ruling elite, the political class, and their friends. They cannot disclose information about them because they're too closely connected to the government. And if we were to learn that these people are that corrupt and they're a part of our government, and there's many of them, that people would see how corrupt our government is, that our government would lose any credibility, what little it does have. And therefore, the government would not be able to govern. People need to believe that although there's government corruption and there's waste and fraud and abuse and things like that, that it's basically you can basically trust the government, right? You don't have to worry about the government being involved in things like assassinations of presidents, false flag operations to promote wars, pedophile rings. No. We can't. We can never be allowed to believe any of that type of thing could ever be true, could we? And again, just like the Kennedy assassination and 9/11 and many other events like that, when a major event happens like that, which could expose the evil and corruption within government, there's not going to be an investigation, not a real investigation. What you're going to get is a commission. An investigation is designed to expose the truth. A commission is designed to cover up the truth. So that's why I do not see PizzaGate, other than maybe some low-level people here in the United States anyway. I can't speak for foreign governments, how they may handle that, but here in the United States, I can say that they cannot allow the high-level ruling elites of the political class to be exposed in these types of crimes, because again, it becomes a matter of national security, the stability of government. The government cannot govern if the people believe it's engaged in, and the people who run government are engaged at the highest levels, are engaged in these types of activities. It would be, a national security issue. It really would be. So this is why we'll never get the truth, and the ruling elite know that. They know they are protected. They're too big to fail. They can engage in all kinds of crimes, including pedophilia, and never have to really worry about it. And they'll all cover for each other, because even though this seems to be a pedophile ring that we're looking at now with Pizzagate that involves people associated mostly with Democrats, the Republicans have their pedophile parties too. And everyone in Washington knows this. These types of things are not secrets. Again, you can go all the way back to ancient Rome and study every century of government you want, and you'll find that pedophilia is just something that the ruling elite seem to be fascinated with for some reason. They're sick people, clearly. And I think it has something to do with power, because the ruling elites are people who desperately need power. And there is something also about pedophilia where there's a power thing there as well. So I think that's why. It's just a thought that I have, because it's something that you see consistently in a pattern over the many centuries that we can study government and the type of people who gravitate towards it. So ultimately, I do not see a official investigation where individuals are questioned, maybe charged, brought into a courtroom, questioned, cross-examined, and then a jury renders a verdict and a judge renders a sentence. This I don't believe will happen at all, because it involves too many of the ruling elite. There's too many people who could be brought down. It could do too much damage to the government's ability to govern. And so I don't believe it'll happen. I believe what we will get is a commission. A commission is essentially a cover-up operation. You bring in a bunch of insiders. They create a narrative. They only bring in witnesses and evidence that will help back up their narrative. Then when they're done, nobody is charged. Nobody goes to jail. Nothing happens. They write a volume of books coming up with their conclusion, and that becomes the official story from that point on. And anyone who has a different view is considered a conspiracy theorist, and therefore they are discredited. And this will go on and on and on, decade after decade after decade after decade, and you will never ever really ever get the ruling elite, the government, to admit or tell the truth about what really happened, whether it was the Kennedy assassination or 9/11 or many other events. We simply will not be allowed to get the truth, because the ruling elite cannot be brought down. They will take the government down with them, and that becomes a national security problem. So this is why I believe that we will not have an official PizzaGate investigation. Now, we will have and are having an unofficial PizzaGate investigation by internet users, by independent media analysts, and others on the internet who are looking into this and following this very closely. They can use the power of social media to get out this information. And it is possible that we could end up with so many people beginning to look at this that they finally begin to put pressure on politicians, law enforcement officials, and things like that, and they may force some sort of an investigation, just as was the case as in 9/11 and the JFK assassination. And that is when some politicians will have to stand up and say, well, clearly the people want to know what's going on. They want an investigation. We need to look at this. And that's when you'll get a commission, a bunch of insiders who will put out a narrative, and nothing will really come of it. So that is where I see this going. I see this probably going into some sort of a PizzaGate Commission, where we will never really ever get the truth. But at least not from the government. But as is in the case with the Kennedy assassination, the government has never given us the truth, nor will they ever. But it doesn't mean that we don't have the truth. It just means that we did not get it from the government. Years and years and years of independent researchers looking at all the evidence, interviewing the witnesses, and doing what the government wouldn't do, we at least ways have a much better idea of what probably did happen in regards to the Kennedy assassination. And so we can arrive at the truth. Even with an unofficial investigation, we just don't have the power to put anybody in jail or even charge them with the crime or anything else. Doesn't mean that we can't learn the truth. It just means that we can't get justice in the matter. So, and that is unfortunate, but that is our circumstances. And that's what we have to accept sometimes. So look for a Pizza Hut commission, never an official investigation designed to get any truth at all, ever. Alrighty? I'll see you guys next time. Take care.